Hi, this is Emily Saliers from Indigo Girls, and you're listening to Rainbow Country.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the persons appearing on the program.
Today on Rainbow Country, my TIFF 2021 coverage continues with an interview featuring Blaine Thurier, the writer and director of the new Canadian vampire movie, Kicking Blood, and Canadian photographer, Nick Wong. Plus, a little bit of Dionne Warwick. All that and so much more in episode 268. So, stay tuned for Gay Talk Radio right here on Rainbow Country.
Hi, I'm Simone Denny.
Hi, I'm Mayor John Tory.
I'm Joey Lamar, best-selling author of Mambo Lips and Salsa Hips. You're listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
Well, hello and welcome to a brand new journey through Rainbow Country. As I like to call it, a little gay radio show working to give voice to the LGBT community and beyond. And as always, I am your tour guide through Rainbow Country. I'm producer and host, Mark Tara. By the way, Rainbow Country originates from CIUT-FM in Toronto, the sound of your city, and now proudly in syndication on 10 outlets across Canada. So, from the Yukon to the prairies, to the east coast of Canada in the Maritimes, to Ontario, even down to Buffalo, New York, and online. Together, we continue to build Rainbow Country into a nationally syndicated gay radio show, a #1 LGBT podcast, and a top 100 LGBT podcast to follow. So today, an interview with Canadian filmmaker Blaine Thurier, writer and director of the new Canadian vampire movie, Kicking Blood. We'll find out about filming a vampire movie during a global pandemic, as well as being a longtime member of the Canadian band, the New Pornographers. Plus a little bit of Dionne Warwick. And later on, a spotlight on Canadian photographer Nick Wong. Plus, as always, music from LGBT artists, independent artists, voices that we've come to know and love in classic disco, classic 80s, classic house, and on this episode, I'm featuring punk rock, electronic, and a 3-song queer pandemic set. But up first, Rainbow Country contributor, musician and activist Anna Gutmanis talks about decolonizing veganism.
This month, I celebrate 3 years of veganism, which followed more than 2.5 decades of my being a vegetarian. I am deeply committed to intersectionality, defined by legal scholar Kimberly Crenshaw as a lens for seeing the way in which various forms of inequality operate together and exacerbate each other. So I was thrilled to read a recent article on decolonizing veganism, which featured an interview with the wonderful Dr. Margaret Robinson. Robinson is a bisexual and two-spirit scholar, a member of the Lennox Island First Nation, a professor at Dalhousie, and a vegan. She debunks the popular notion that vegans and Indigenous people are opposing forces. Her own veganism, she stresses, is in fact deeply rooted in Mi'kmaq values that see humans as being part of a network of living beings and not superior to any. Reading this rang a lot of bells for me as a person of Latvian descent, and made me wonder whether my veganism is perhaps rooted in Latvian values. Ancient Latvians did not think of themselves as superior to nature, but rather inseparably linked to nature, and they worshipped female and male deities and nature spirits. Saule, the sun, was a female deity who bestowed warmth, comfort, and fertility, and witnessed injustice. After the Latvians were violently colonized by crusaders, beginning in 1198 AD, there was a lot of injustice for Saule to see. The Christian colonizers believed that all humans should be Christian and have dominion over what they called beasts. But of course, the indigenous Latvians who were Christianized and enserfed were also treated as chattel of the Russian and German Christians. So for me, my veganism is rooted in more than my deep love for animals and concern for my health and the health of the planet. It is an active, ongoing rebuke to the horrors of colonization, both the kind experienced by my ancestors and the kind that is perpetrated daily against Indigenous folks here on Turtle Island. Queer Black and brown vegans are drawing similar conclusions and making a huge impact. Educator Isaias Hernandez speaks about how ancestral practice influenced his activism, and his popular Queer Brown Vegan Instagram emphasizes BIPOC, LGBTQ, and working class perspectives. Pax Ahimsa Gethen, a queer Black vegan activist, blogger, and photographer, has spoken about the importance of plant-based dining in traditional African cultures, and continues to spread the word as manager of the Black Vegans Rock Instagram page. So, fellow white queer vegans, take note. Let's make our movement completely intersectional, and we will all benefit. This is singer, songwriter, and activist Anna Gutmanis for Rainbow Country. You can reach me at annagutmanis.com.
Hi, my name is Joanne Vanicola, and I'm an actor and a writer, and I was first on Rainbow Country with Mark Tara on discussing the massacre at Pulse Club in Orlando. I realized how important it was for our community to have a radio station, specifically for our issues, to talk about people in the LGBTQ community and to provide an outlet for our stories, to discuss our politics, culture, and give voice to the issues that matter to us. And of course our artists and the things that we do globally, and talk about culture. And without people like Mark Tara providing a space for this with a radio show like this, then we wouldn't have that voice. So support, tune in. Thank you.
My name is Charles Officer, and I'm the writer and director of Invisible Essence, The Little Prince. You're listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
Up next, filmmaker Blaine Thurier.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? Whoa! You guys are excited, aren't you? Hello, Toronto!
This is a very exciting night for us.
I'm really freaking excited to be here tonight.
What a great audience.
I'm so excited to be here. It's such a great honor.
I'm so honored to be able to show my film to this august crowd.
What's really fun is people who love film, and you are all that. And we're very proud and happy to be here with all of you.
We should not be afraid to tell stories because we are afraid that people will judge.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity and a platform to be able to showcase our work as female filmmakers.
This is for my parents who couldn't come, so thank you. I'm going to prove it to them. I did it!
I just realised what TIFF actually stands for. Toronto is fucking fantastic.
This is the story of our city, and we're a very proud city, and I want the world to see it.
Tilt your head back.
What are you doing?
Exploring your veins.
Feels good.
Different blood has different qualities. The taste, the kick. trying to guess what yours is like. Afraid?
No.
I'm a vampire.
I kind of figured.
I'm going to suck your blood and get high as fuck. I'm gonna kill you.
Get on with it then.
Blaine Thurier, hi, how are you?
I'm great, Mark. How are you?
I am well. First of all, congrats on getting your feature done, Kicking Blood. It looks amazing. Well done. I'm sure it wasn't an easy experience for you getting a Canadian feature done. First of all, you're essentially telling a vampire story. But for you as writer, as director, for you, how do you see Kicking Blood?
Right. So I was looking for ideas for the movie I wanted to do next, and I was scribbling literally hundreds of them in a notebook, and it was an exhausting experience. But then, I just thought about the old timey monsters like Frankenstein and the Mummy, and wait, vampires. There's a lot going on there. They're immortal. They have this hidden longing. They have to live in darkness. That's kind of like me. Maybe there's something there. So, I mean, when I was writing with Leonard, these are the things, the idea of being addicted and immortal and disconnected from humanity, that's way more interesting than fangs and blood and, garlic and coffins. So let's talk about that. So that's how we saw the vampire genre as a way to, if you will, reflect humanity.
So I believe it's one of your main characters, Anna, who at one point says to another main character, Robbie, that she's going to drink his blood and quote unquote get high as fuck. Robbie, the other main character, is dealing with alcoholism. Is it fair to say that an aspect of Kicking Blood is dealing with addictions?
Absolutely. That was the most compelling metaphor for us, addiction is really a way to medicate. The substances are a way to medicate yourself, to deal with your mental health, to cope with the idea that we're all going to die someday. But there's also the aspect of like the substances feel good. They're fun at first until you reach the point where you just have to do it to feel normal. But for vampires, yes, every time they kill somebody and suck their blood, they get high as fuck. But we just wanted to, sort of reflect the fact that the substances are, they make you feel good at first. You have to acknowledge that aspect of addiction as well to truly understand it.
When did you film this feature?
We shot in the dead of winter in February in Sudbury, Ontario.
And how did COVID-19 affect your filming?
In multiple ways, but I try, as horrible as the pandemic is, and the sickness is, it's bad, but it lent us photographically just like this beautiful desolation, because the streets were empty. It was mid-lockdown. So what better way to reflect the emptiness, lack of soul that a vampire would have after centuries of addiction than this bleak but beautiful landscape. And just a little more practically, the lockdown made sure that nobody was hungover on set. There was like you couldn't party, and the COVID protocols were, you know, a little ritual that you did at the start of every day. You got your temperature, you filled out the questionnaire. So it's sort of like an athlete's ritual to sort of psych up and focus for the big game. So, you know, in a weird way, all of those things helped us.
So you've made a number of films, short films, feature-length films, music videos. I believe it was your first feature-length film, Low Self-Esteem Girl, was awarded Best Narrative Feature at the 2000 South by Southwest Film Festival. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
But here's the question. When did you realize that you wanted to be a filmmaker?
Oh my God. Are you ready for a crazy story?
Sure.
Okay. I was living in Vancouver, of course, drawing comics and just sort of putting them out blindly into the world in a local weekly. And, you know, it was a way to express myself. Comics were fun, but I was alone all the time. And, you know, in my upstairs bedroom, focused on a little square of paper and ink. And it was lonely. And it just struck me that making a movie is a possible thing to do. You don't have to be connected to Hollywood royalty. There's cameras, there's people. I have stories. Holy moly, I can do this. And it was just a huge revelation. And I was reading a book called The Artist's Way that said, ask the universe for help. Yes. And I wasn't all woo and mystical at the time, but I thought, okay, I'm going to give that a shot. I'm going to ask the universe for help. And something said, ask for something specific. And I was so poor that getting a computer was just like out of the realm of imagination. So I said, I have to write a script. I don't have a typewriter. I'm going to ask the universe for a typewriter. Went to bed, woke up the next morning. My beloved cat needed to go outside like he did every morning. As a ritual, I opened the door to let him out, and there was a typewriter on my doorstep. Yeah.
Who left you a typewriter?
It was my roommate's girlfriend's friends. They were moving and they were getting rid of stuff, and they thought, oh, Dan, my roommate, he's a writer. He'll probably like this. It's just such a coincidence that at that point in my life. But to me, the message wasn't that I anoint you. We anoint you. Here's your sword in the stone. To me, the message is like there is help. You know, you want to make something. Just there's help out there for you.
It's interesting because I literally have that book, The Artist's Way.
Oh yeah, it's a great book. It's a demanding book.
Yes,
it's a great book though.
Morning pages or night pages.
I know. I actually did that for years. I got my 3 pages. Yeah.
So filmmaking, music, filmmaking. You were a longtime member of the Canadian music group, the New Pornographers. In 2009, Rolling Stone magazine ranked the band's second studio album, Electric Version, one of the 100 best albums of the decade. This is in 2009. Why did you leave the New Pornographers?
Okay. A number of reasons. Such an amazing experience that I will be eternally grateful for, to be able to tour the world and play in front of people and go on all the late night TV shows and, shake hands with David Letterman. All that stuff was so amazing. But the whole time, the movies were in my head. I'd be playing and trying to figure out, latest script, that character arc isn't quite working. What can I do? And it was just always on my mind, and I was just trying to fit it in when we weren't touring. And, eventually I said, I'm not getting any younger. It is time to focus. So that is what I'm doing.
Did you ever think of making a film about the new pornographers, a documentary or something?
No, it's too boring.
Okay.
Rock and roll touring is just, it's too boring. Like a lot of sitting around in dressing rooms and looking for coffee in the morning in a strange town. I don't know. Maybe there is a movie there now that you think about it. But
was it difficult making that decision to leave the new pornographers?
No, it wasn't. It was quite easy when I had made up my mind. I was like, this makes sense. One of the reasons I stayed for so long was just it seemed ungrateful to give it up, because so many people yearn for that life. And it's just like, I have to do this for them. If I leave, I'm an asshole, So I stuck around for the longest time, and yeah. And like I said, I'm grateful for all of it, but I'm so happy to be focusing on movies right now.
So you just said you're grateful to be focusing on movies right now. So do you see yourself as a musician, as a filmmaker, as something over and above all that? How do you see yourself?
A filmmaker above all. A filmmaker forever, I hope. I can't stop. It's like gravity, I've often thought I should stop this because this is nuts. You must be delusional, Blaine, but I can't stop. Yeah.
So let's talk about the last few frames of Kicking Blood.
Mm-hmm.
You're the director. Mm-hmm. What are you trying to say in the last few frames of Kicking Blood?
Well, the light, we play with light a lot in the movie. There's the flickering lighter trying to find your way in the dark. There's the scene with the sculptress where Nina is turning off the lights one by one, turning things into darkness, like as a prelude to murder. And then of course there's the sun is like the ultimate light, which is about living in the light and about being human again and going outside, which I had to learn to do myself. So I hope there's a bit of ambiguity there, but it's just it's her redemption, whether it's a fantasy or if it really happens. It's just the sun, the giver of life, strikes your face and you feel alive again, at least.
So Kicking Blood is part of TIFF 2021.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel being part of TIFF 2021?
Just my God, so blessed and lucky. I mean, if you hear me complaining about anything ever, tell me to shut up, because there is nothing to complain about here. I'm grateful for all of it. I'm grateful to be on Zoom, There's no parties, but like, hey, we got a party here with our headphones on.
And so what's coming up next for this feature, Kicking Blood?
We're doing Vancouver Film Festival, October 1st, Friday night screening. So stoked to have a hometown screening. It's been a while. And we are submitted to festivals all over the world. Notifications are coming up. Our sales agent is working to get it released, and that's all going on this week. And the sales agent says, you guys relax and have a good time. We are not going to stress you out with a blow by blow account of what's happening. So it's all pretty much, TBD at the moment.
And you're based where?
Vancouver.
You're in Vancouver.
Yes.
So is the screening in Vancouver, are you going to be there in person at all?
Oh yeah. Oh no. I mean, like I just, there's going to be friends and family there. It's my hometown, so it's going to be great. I hope, knock wood.
Yeah. And for you, what's coming up next for you over and above Kicking Blood?
I am writing like crazy. I just not being in the band is just sort of like taking it. I feel like I've been let out of a cage. That's the wrong metaphor, because I did enjoy being in the band, but it's just there's just a rush of ideas, and I'm just I have the typing disease. I'm just writing like crazy. So I have 3 things that I want to make next. I have my next 3 movies in my head. So I'm working on that.
And are they going to be in the supernatural vein?
It seems to be what's in my head and heart and soul. So, yes.
Oh, well done. Well done.
Yes. Thank you, Mark.
So my last question for you, Blaine. Mm-hmm. When audiences see Kicking Blood, what would you like your audiences to take away after seeing this film?
I want everyone to take away something different. So let me put it this way. I want everyone to take something away that is unique and personal to them. I don't think there's like, I hope that there isn't like one message, like one, you can sum it up in like one sentence. I hope everybody can reflect on it and continue to think about it and continue to ask questions. Yeah, that's what I want them to take away. Not answers, but questions. And a personal connection.
Well, Blaine Thurier, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being on the show.
Oh, man, it was so fun, Mark. Thank you for having me.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? Whoa! You guys are excited, aren't you?
Hello, Toronto!
This is a very exciting night for us.
I'm really freaking excited to be here tonight.
What a great audience.
I'm so excited to be here. It's such a great honor.
I'm so honored to be able to show my film to this august crowd.
What's really fun is people who love film, and you are all that. And we're very proud and happy to be here with all of you.
We should not be afraid to tell stories because we are afraid that people will judge.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity and a platform to be able to showcase our work as female filmmakers.
This is for my parents who couldn't come, so thank you. I'm going to prove it to them. I did it!
I just realised what TIFF actually stands for. Toronto is fucking fantastic.
This is the story of our city, and we're a very proud city, and I want the world to see it.
To keep up to date with filmmaker Blaine Thurier and his movie, Kicking Blood, check him out on Twitter at Blaine Thurier.
I'm Billy Newton Davis, and we're sitting here on Rainbow Country with the fabulous Mark Tara.
So during the Toronto International Film Festival, there are usually press conferences for the movies. Usually these press conferences are held in person, but since COVID-19, they've been done digitally. I've mentioned the music documentary Dionne Warwick, Don't Make Me Over, a great documentary on an iconic musical artist. Well, I asked her a question virtually, and it got a response. I will have to say the response is a little hard to understand at times, but here it is.
We have a question from CIT 89.5 FM, Rainbow Country Radio. Anyway, the question is, as an LGBTQ activist, what would you like to say to your LGBTQ fans here in Canada? Ms. Warwick.
I think it's just a matter of what I've been saying to any of the particular organizations. Everybody's a human being, and I've got to be treated in that fashion. And I use the analogy that if I cut myself, I bleed red. You cut yourself, so do you. Which means that we're all the same. So long as we treat each other like human beings and actively understand is what we are. That's all I have to say. I have nothing more to say or nothing less.
I think that deserves another little listen, don't you think?
We have a question from CIT 89.5 FM, Rainbow Country Radio. Anyway, the question is, as an LGBTQ activist, what would you like to say to your LGBTQ fans here in Canada? Ms. Warwick.
I think it's just a matter of what I've been saying to any of the particular organizations. Everybody's a human being, and I've got to be treated in that fashion. And I use the analogy that if I cut myself, I bleed red. You cut yourself, so do you. Which means that we're all the same. So long as we treat each other like human beings and actively understand is what we are. That's all I have to say. I have nothing more to say or nothing less.
I know it's a little hard to understand at times, but hey, I will take Dionne Warwick whenever and however I can.
Hi, I'm Garrett Conley, author of Boy Erased, a memoir. You're listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
So an aspect of the Toronto International Film Festival that most people don't talk about is the industry side of the movie business. There are conferences on various aspects of the film industry. There are meetings happening where distributors are looking to acquire films. There are media outlets like Variety, where they would have celebrity interviews talking about their latest projects at the festival. And in 2019, I was at the Variety Lounge to find out what it's all about. I am here at Le Germain Hotel, where they have the Variety, the Variety magazine, the Variety Lounge, where all the celebrities come to mix and mingle, get some photos, and do an exclusive interview for Variety. I am here with the lovely Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
I am good. I think we are surrounded by some celebrities, are we not?
There are a few. I think I just saw Matt Damon come through, and I believe that J-Lo is walking through in a few minutes. So, Tom Hanks is also on deck.
I was here yesterday and ran into Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe in the movie The Lighthouse. Interesting film, powerful film, and I got to say to Willem Dafoe, "You were great in that film," and he was like, "Thank you."
That's so cool. Yeah, I think it's really nice when everyone comes through. It's an environment where they feel like they can relax and kind of let loose. I know oftentimes in these sorts of situations, they're bouncing from one studio to the next, and we want the space to feel like, you can like let your shoulders down, let your hair down, and just chill and not feel like you have to put on airs or anything. So I'm glad that you're able to have those kind of conversations because they need to be able to relax too.
So tell me what is happening here at the Variety Lounge.
So this is actually the AT&T on location. They partner with Variety. So basically Variety operates their photo and video studio out of the space. So what they do is they team with all the different films that are coming through. So we know ahead of time that this film's coming through. They have their photo interview and they go to their video studio. But in the meantime, we create a really nice place for them to relax, grab some coffee, have some Wi-Fi, because everyone wants Wi-Fi. I don't know, that's not that exciting. But just have some great food and just chill in between interviews.
I will say the hotel is off the beaten path, and I will say it's a great space for viewing celebrities as they come in and out of their cars.
Yeah, no, it is really nice. In years past, we've been more on like a very public-facing space. We were at Momofuku last year, and so it's right there off of University where you do have a lot of foot traffic. So I think that also helps them feel a bit more relaxed, being that this is sort of hidden. Obviously, anyone can turn down this side street, but it's not as in your face, like here's all the celebrities. It's really nice.
Being surrounded with celebrities, do you get nervous? Are you told, like, don't look people in the eye? What's the protocol for especially people working here?
Yeah, honestly, I don't get nervous, but I think it's just because when you're around them, they are just like us. They're just people. The way I like to think of it is that they are people who just really excel at their talent, and I think that is something to be very respectful of. So I think in that way you kind of look up to them. You're like, wow, I bow down to you because you've made it this far in your profession. But there's really no rule from the standpoint of looking them in the eye. I think it's common human courtesy. So if you and I were walking down the street, I wouldn't stop and gawk because, of something about you. It's more just like, oh, there's that person. You just look at them the same way. And I think that's how they want to be treated as well. Not so much that everyone looks down when you walk past them. They just want to be treated like normal people. There has been some interaction, but it's very natural. It's not so much, I wouldn't walk up to them and say, can I have your autograph? Can I get my picture taken? Because that's not the environment we want to create. But if I bump into them at the coffee bar, in the same way that I would say something to you, like, oh, how are you doing? Then I would say, hey, how are you? It's very casual like that, which is nice. It's relaxed.
How are you finding the entourage that surrounds a celebrities? Are you finding them down to earth? For the most part, have there been any instances, not naming names, but how has that interaction been between, the entourage and the regular folk here?
You know what? I find that the people that are coming in, they do tend to have anywhere between 5 to 10 people. Everyone is, for the most part, very humble. I think there is something to be said for being in this space because you do sort of feel an energy when you walk in. And I think that if they walked in and felt like there was a lot of stress, then they would feel stressed. And I think they would then act accordingly. But because it is so relaxed, everyone is so nice. There's no sort of airs about anyone. Obviously, they want to make sure because they're running from studio to studio that things are ready. We're making sure security's in place, making sure that they're coming in through the right way and that everything's ready when they arrive. But it really is a nice, cohesive sort of teamwork that everyone's. So I don't know. It doesn't feel. No one feels on edge here, which is really good because I think that if we are on edge, then the talent feels it when they walk in, and they're not going to be as relaxed.
Well said. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, of course, no problem. It's nice meeting you.
By the way, I would encourage you to check out Variety's YouTube channel, where you can check out the interviews that they do at the Toronto International Film Festival. Here's hoping 2022, I'll be able to bring you something there in person.
Hey, this is Rye Daisies, and you're listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
When you think of the Toronto International Film Festival, you think movies, you think celebrities. You might also think of paparazzi, photographers. Up next, a spotlight on Canadian photographer Wong. Nick Wong, hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I am well. Thank you for being here, Nick Wong, to have your voice, your story be heard by the LGBT community and beyond. So thank you for that. You are a photographer. You are a portrait and lifestyle photographer. Let's just jump right in. How did you get into photography in the first place? How did this come about for you?
It's kind of a story of serendipity, I guess you could say. When I was younger, I moved around quite a lot as a kid, and I did sort of have that cliche of always just having a camera around with me. I was definitely, in the very early 2000s, that one kid or friend who, whenever you go to the arcade, I want to go to the photo booth and get like little mini sticker pictures with your friends. But I was living abroad in my early teens for just a little bit of my life. I was living in Argentina because my dad had moved us down there. And I had actually just moved back to Canada. We moved back to Calgary, Alberta. And I want to say about to the year 2000, 2001, something like that. I think I was 13 at the time. And I had just finished middle school and moving into high school, and I had to choose a bunch of electives. So initially, I actually just wanted a really easy class to do. So I signed up for a Spanish class, having just moved back from Argentina. So I was still pretty fluent in everything. And long story short, they actually kicked me out of the class because they're like, this would be a waste of time for you. And I didn't actually have a lot of options left at that point to choose an elective class. All that was left was a darkroom photography course. And it was a really self-directed course, which was actually really challenging for the way that I kind of learned things. But it was still a really great experience for me. And that's kind of how I got more interested in photography as kind of a way to express myself and explore creatively. And there's a lot of science and technical stuff in the darkroom, which I thought was a really fun and interesting process. It's really cool to watch photos appear on a sheet of photo paper as you're developing it. And yeah, that was what I would say would be kind of my start.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been a photographer now?
I've been a professional working photographer. I would say I would classify it from about 2012, but I've been in the industry since 2009.
It's interesting because you were saying that you were taking a course in darkroom development, essentially. Is that technique still even used today in 2021? Because everything is now, like, to me, it seems most things have gone digital.
For sure. I mean, I would definitely say in this day and age, there's a big I think these kinds of trends are always on a pendulum. Digital is definitely here to stay, but there's certainly an appreciation for analog. Because
there's that film quality to it.
Absolutely. There's a really unique look to how things come out analog. And I know lots of photographers in the industry who still shoot film and have it professionally developed, and they'll shoot both digital and film on a set. And just so that, typically the film stuff is for their personal work, but often, I see a lot of brands actually using analog these days. It's super, super expensive to do now because it's not all the equipment and chemicals that you need aren't as readily available. But it's definitely still around. I think it's gaining popularity to shoot film. It's very chic to shoot film these days. And technically speaking, it's a really interesting and fun exercise to do, to make sure, you really know how to still take a photograph.
Yeah. So you are a portrait and lifestyle photographer. What's the difference between portraitures and lifestyle? What's the difference between the two?
I mean, they're pretty broad. They're both pretty broad categories, I would say. Portraits for me are more, you know how we're having an interview right now. It's a conversation. And for me, a portrait is more in that kind of realm. It's focusing on a person or specifically a group of people. And it's about finding out who their character is, who they are, and trying to show that in, a single photograph or maybe a small set of photographs. Lifestyle can be that as well, but for me, being primarily of a commercial and advertising photographer, when I describe myself as a lifestyle photographer, I'm using my skill set to create a set of images that describe a certain lifestyle. If it's, for a brand and their brand is, happy people looking happy, or, if it's a more serious brand, then, maybe we photograph our subject in a certain way. And it's about selling a lifestyle that suits a brand versus getting to know specifically people for a thing. Does that make sense?
Sure. So you've worked with publications like the Globe and Mail, The Guardian UK, Canadian Business Magazine, organizations like Craft Philadelphia, another organization, Pride Toronto, the Government of Ontario, as well as shooting, photographing individuals. If we were to see a Nick Wong image from, say, an organization, from a publication, from an individual, even a government body, would you say that there's a Nick Wong signature to the photos that you tend to take?
I hope so. I mean, I have been told by colleagues and friends, and this is always the highest compliment that I can receive, is when they look at something and they say, oh, that's definitely, it looks like you shot that, which is always great. And it's always a really wonderful feeling when friends and colleagues can recognize my work out in the public. And
how would you describe that signature? How would you describe that signature?
Aesthetically, I have my approach to photography is always, I try to mimic as much as I can out of real life and just give it a little bit of polish. I like to imagine capturing these intimate moments that are just kind of, don't feel posed and don't feel too contrived. It's like candid, but staged candid. So I like to be intimate without being too influential in a scene. And I don't want to, invade people. I don't want it to feel like I'm invading someone's privacy. I always want it to feel like I'm sharing a moment with someone.
Mm. So let's talk about North America's longest running magazine, Broadview Magazine, an award-winning publication that focuses on spirituality, on social justice, on ethical living. How did you hook up with Broadview Magazine to end up being one of their photographers?
Broadview Magazine actually reached out to me. I guess they'd seen some of my work before. I work with some freelance producers as well who put us in touch. And, I have friends who were photo editors at other magazines who had thought of me for some portrait projects for Broadview. And after our first project together, they really loved the work and we got along, and they'd seen some of my other projects. And whenever they have a project that they think my style kind of speaks well to in terms of the story, they let me know. And we go from there. I always try to get a sense of what the story is and who the person that I'm photographing is, and do a little bit of research, and we try to build some compelling imagery from there.
So recently, Rainbow Country and myself, we were featured in the September issue, the 2021 September issue of Broadview magazine in the Disruptor section. You did the shoot. That's how you and I first connected. It was, I have to be honest, it was my first industry, working event, that sort of thing in regards to this global pandemic that we're in. After a year and a half of not doing anything, my photo session with you was my first thing. So how has it been for you being a working photographer during a global pandemic, during COVID-19? How has it been for you during this pandemic?
It's been really interesting, and I'm definitely counting my blessings, given the situation that we're all in right now. Obviously, I've had to stop a significant portion of my business, just to be really safe and make sure that public safety is kind of a number one priority. I mean, nobody wants to be the photo shoot that everyone discovers was like a big vector of spread of COVID. But at the same time, we've got an incredible industry here in Canada, and we've all rallied and supported each other, especially not just the stills photography community, but the commercial motion community as well. And because of the hard work that the motion community did, especially in the commercials and advertising space, where they were extremely stringent on the rules and making sure everybody was tested and safe before showing up on set, we were able to do a little bit of work and try to get in as much as possible. And I've been very blessed with some opportunities over this pandemic, and we had to stop during the hard lockdowns for sure. But I've had some really great opportunities to work with some awesome people. For example, yourself and with Broadview magazine, and we've done it very safely, kept everyone physically distant as much as possible, and kept the amount of people on set as small as possible, and still be able to create some really fun and engaging work. So it's definitely been a challenge. But it's been a period of time where, you get to sit down and really think about what you can do and work through new challenges and just create new work.
Mm-hmm. I have to say, during our working session, you and your assistant, you guys were great.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. You made me feel really comfortable, even though we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I was a little, but you were.
We love hearing that feedback.
Yeah, you've got a great space and very comfortable, and so thank you for that.
You're so welcome.
Nick, you are part of the LGBT community. Is it important for you to maybe seek out or work with LGBT clients? One of your clients is Pride Toronto. Is it important for you to work with LGBT organizations, individuals, that sort of thing? Is that a priority for you?
It's hard to say that I would necessarily actively look specifically and only for LGBTQ clients. However, whenever the opportunity comes up in any campaign or personal project that I do, where there's room for an LGBT angle or a new perspective, I always push for more LGBTQIA visibility. I think it's super important. And I always try to push that with any clients that I'm working with, especially in advertising space. And I think it's super wonderful to get that kind of representation and visibility out there. I'm also a member of the Asian community. I've grown up in Canada as a second generation immigrant. And I just think it's so important to make sure that our stories are seen and heard at any opportunity. At the end of the day, though, as a photographer working in the commercial world, I don't get to make those decisions, but I always push for it as much as I can.
Well said. Well said. Has it been challenging for you to be pushing for maybe more inclusion when a client brings you on as a photographer, for you to then say, maybe we should have more diversity, more people of color, more LGBT individuals? Have you found that there's pushback to that when you've spoken up for it, for inclusion?
Well, I've been really blessed with really amazing clients who all consider that diversity angle. I wouldn't say I've necessarily received any pushback on it. Maybe more so, I'm glad that they bring it up to make sure that I can offer my insight as a member of the community to make sure that these people are represented in an authentic and honest way. And all of my clients have been super receptive to that and have been really wonderful. So no, not really. I think in this day and age, especially in advertising, there's definitely a push to see more of more diversity and what real life is.
And for people listening, how can people find out all about Nick Wong, the work that you do, and see the work that you've done in past? How can they find out all about Nick Wong? Oh,
well, all of my social media handles are at Nick Wong Photo, NickWongPhoto, and my website is nickwongphoto.com.
And we're coming to the latter part of 2021, going into 22. Anything coming up for you in the next little while?
I'm shooting a few projects that I can't really say who it's for yet, but we're really excited. I try to always show a little bit of behind the scenes action on my Instagram stories, so you can check it out there. And if you are in Toronto, I do have an ad up with YouTube. It's all over the city. You can check it out at Yonge and Dundas Square. And yeah, hopefully you'll see more of my work around.
Well done. Well done. Nick Wong, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being on the show. And thanks for taking some great photos of me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for being such an amazing subject. You were just a dream to shoot. And I hope you like the final image.
And thank the Lord for that red kimono.
It looks so good, honey. You look amazing.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
For more on this artist, nickwongphoto.com.
I'm Brian Bradley, author of Outrageous Misfits, female impersonator Craig Russell and his wife, Lori Russellidi. You are listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
And just like that, this little gay journey through Rainbow Country has come to an end. For the full 2-hour episode, just head over to marktara.com, where everything is connected, and hit the archives banner. Don't forget to keep up to date with the show. Follow me on socials at Mark Tara Music. The podcast is available on all major platforms, including audible.com. Finally, I want to take this time to thank you for taking your time to be with me. Remember, stay well, stay strong, and stay safe.